Good morning. Welcome to Igniting Fire. It's a conversation all about lessons from student leaders and activists. My name is Cece Felton, and I'm a freshman at the illustrious Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. First and foremost, I would like to give a great big thank you to Teachers for America for giving me this awesome opportunity. And basically, we have a fun morning planned out. I'm going to do a few poems and share my story and just tell you how poetry saved my life and how I use it to save others. So the first poem I'm going to do is a poem about my son, Jaden. He's 2 years old, and basically it's about just the struggles of being a teen parent and not being a statistic. So I hope you enjoy. For the night I cried on the shoulder of my 2-day-old son. Found more comfort in the arms of an infant rather than my mother's bosom. I cradled my whole world that night. Watched it crumble too. Shards of his glass future falling right before my eyes. I vowed to never cry in front of my child. But when he was in the womb, tears came more easy than smiles, and that vow turned into a broken promise. I hid him beneath oversized sweatshirts and hoodies, denied him as if he was never a part of me, because I feared they would try to crucify me. Make my body a man-made punching bag, make a martyr out of me. Stone me to do all the damage their words never could. I was never supposed to make it. See, the fire in their eyes deemed me to burn in hell. When they found out I conceived a love child, I was more sinner than saint. Shamed upon when they found out I birthed an illegitimate baby. See, there ain't nothing worse than being a statistic. Than having someone turn up their nose at you when they don't even know your story. See, there was a time when I was labeled daddy's little girl. I accepted the title without fully grasping what it meant. See, daddy's little girl was supposed to be the good girl. I was supposed to be the good girl, but daddy's little girl messed up. Daddy's little girl found love in sex and drugs, so I became numb to the feeling of loneliness. Daddy's little girl grew into a woman in a matter of minutes, pregnant, now more menace to society than human. Teenage mothers ain't fit for babies in the first place, and they expect us all to fail. They told me I would drop out, I ain't gonna be nothing, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail. Well, I refuse to fail. I spent too much time beating myself up for an unplanned pregnancy, and I would not allow society to do the same thing. Truth is, words would do more damage than sticks ever could. Truth is, I laid in bed for 3 days when I found out I was pregnant. Truth is, there was a deafening silence in my household that spoke volumes, and I remember the way my mother held me in her arms the same way I held him. And we cried together. We hurt together, and we prayed together. Kneeled before my father and found God in that bedroom altar. It was then that I realized my world was unbreakable. That with the support of my family and my God, the weight of the world was not on my shoulders, the weight of the world was not on his shoulders, and no amount of negativity towards me could make my world come crashing down. I broke barriers, spoke volumes, silenced every stereotype there was about me. I made it, I made it, I made it. I may be a teenage mother, but I am not a victim. Okay, so a little background about my story. I grew up in the church, and basically I had like a host of reverends and ministers around my family. And so when I got pregnant the summer leading into my junior year, it was like a big surprise because I was always seen as the girl who was supposed to do no wrong. So I was immediately told that I would drop out or that I was a failure and I wasn't going to accomplish anything, but me being the person that I am, I decided to prove everyone wrong, and I graduated high school, and now I'm in college, and I just finished my first semester with a 4.0. Thank you. I know without the support of my mother, I love my mother to death, without the support of my mother and my family and those around me, I know I wouldn't have made it this far. And I'm just here to just speak from teen mothers' perspective and just say that we have to stop condemning teen parents for the decisions that they make. You know, we have to uplift one another and be the helping hand and be the one to push them and tell them to just keep their head up and be the one to just teach them to persevere and be like the village that's helping to raise the child. We just have to come together with that. And with that being said, it brings toward another issue of how poetry definitely did save my life. And I swear the most liberating feeling has to be when someone to come up to me after a performance and tell me that I either touched their life or I changed the way they thought about a certain issue. And one of the biggest issues in America I think we're struggling right now with is police brutality amongst young African American men. So me being a mother, it really hits home because it's like, how do I raise a child in a world that doesn't love him, that wants to see him killed and doesn't really want to just show him open arms? And it's really a big struggle. Like Tamir Rice was only 12 years old and he was killed by police, and Michael Brown, 18, and he's killed by police. He was laying on the ground for 4 hours. And then you have Trayvon Martin. He wasn't killed by police, but he was 18 years old and somebody felt that they had the need to take his life into their own hands. So I'm just here to I just expose the fragments of society and just show that we need to just come together and just let them know that it's wrong. Like, all their lives matter, and we all must acknowledge that. It's just, we just really have to just stop the issue. And so the next poem I'm gonna do is, well, the last poem is gonna be a poem from the perspective of Michael Brown's mother. And it's just, the number one hitting line is, somebody murdered my baby last night. And it's just seeing all of those children as babies and just picturing someone killing your baby and someone killing your child. We just have to stop seeing it as just another black boy being shot. We just have to come together and just acknowledge that we need to change. So thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoy this last poem. Mom, I keep hearing stories about boys who look like me. I keep seeing boys who look like me flash across the TV screen. Mom, what's the name of that gang that keeps killing boys like me? Mom, why did God make me this color if it's what makes me a target? Mom, why are you crying? Mom, why won't you answer me? Mom, please, save me. You know, my son died the other day. He died right there in the middle of the street, and I can count on one hand the amount of time that officer will get. The amount of time my baby's body lay casket sharp against the pavement can't compare to the amount of care they give. See, somebody murdered my baby last night. Left me with nothing but an embroidered uniform of bullets plastered across his canvas. He bled once. Sacrificial lamb for his band of brothers, better yet, target practice for that gang against brothers they said he be thug. Said he were criminal like his complexion. Said he be criminal because of his complexion. See, last night they announced that Officer Darren Wilson would not be indicted for the murder of Michael Brown, and all I could do was cry. Because counting sheep permanently was never Mike's idea of chasing dreams, and when you ask a young boy what they want to be when they grow up, most would say alive. Most would say alive, no, most would say they want to breathe. Most would say they want to believe there's a God, but it's hard when all you know is blood, and Bloody Jesus is starting to resemble our sons nowadays. Bloody Jesus is plastered across our streets nowadays. Bloody Jesus is being crucified by gold badges and blue uniforms and his rights. Officer, if a boy has their hands up in surrender, is that an invitation for you to display your authority? If a boy is walking while black, is that a legit reason for suspicion? I'm sorry that boy's eye resemble black lives, which is why blacks died and are forgotten, while we're unarmed, yet always used as weapons for mass destruction. See, it looks like our sons are dying right before our eyes, and we're blinded by our own darkness. See, our pigment is the reason for this procession. See, we are all dressed in black for a reason, casket sharp with iron fists, because we must fight to get to the kingdom. See, last night, someone murdered my baby. Every 28 hours, someone murders our babies. Forget abortions. Black sons are living just to die anyway. Bloody Jesus was born just to die anyway. Emmett Till, Amadou Diallo, Eric Garner, Michael Brown. See, somebody murdered my baby last night. See, somebody murdered my baby last night, and they got away with it. See, they will always get away with it. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Michaela Gilliam Price. I'm from Baltimore. I'm a co-founder of City Block, which is a grassroots student organization in Baltimore. I've been very active since April when Freddie Gray was murdered. I'm sure most of you are very aware of that. And so, yeah, I was called by Jane, and she told me that I had to answer this huge question of why do I lead, and in 5 minutes, right? And so that was extremely overwhelming, but hopefully this will provide some insight on like the students that are in your classrooms. And I have my speech written on my phone. I thought I was gonna speak at a podium, so you weren't supposed to know that, but just forgive me. The question of why I lead is always going to be a hard one to answer. And when Jane called and said I only have 5 minutes to answer, I knew this would be a challenge. But after some reflection, I found the answer is truly not that complex. At the root of my activism is my desire to fill the void that is neglected by our educational systems, that was created by systems meant to dehumanize, criminalize, and ultimately destroy my potential as a Black queer girl. Therefore, my need to be active in my community is directly derived from the fact that without the fearless students who marched in the streets of Baltimore in April after the murder of Freddie Gray, the connection between the overt killing of our bodies in the streets and the discrete colonization of our minds in the classroom would be left obscured. I lead because without the exception of a few teachers, our school systems have successfully and deliberately divorced what happens to students of color, queer students, trans students, poor students, and disabled students in the streets of their community from what happens to those same students when they sit behind a desk in our classrooms. I lead because I must tell stories to make obvious that the majority of our public schools in the status quo are not at all conducive to affirming the humanity of our youth. When the students of City Block, a student grassroots organization in Baltimore, must decide between having a student walkout against the militarization of school police in our city and studying for midterm review days, there is clearly a problem. Why has it taken us so long to realize that one is a necessary prerequisite to the success of the other? When students are superficially taught their histories but only through narratives of slavery, something is wrong. When students are not being taught the inexorable link between their communities and their authentic histories and their own futures, we are failing. When we realize that teaching out of context is not enough, that what's happening in schools across the board is not teaching at all, and it instead should be characterized as what it is, training students to be passive objects that are meant to provide statistics that are needed to fund the very institutions created to oppress us. It is only going to harm us if we cannot make the link between capitalism and why our students remain fungible. I lead because the political agency of students has not been widely activated, and that alone will always plague our communities. I lead to contextualize the issues that we know exist but cannot make tangible enough to combat in a traditional sense. I lead because I know that even if we attempt to be culturally competent, students will never be affirmed if the only time their identities become relevant in classrooms is when they are reading the work of canonical scholars who not at all look like them. I lead because we cannot be content with being reactionary when the killing of our babies is such a proactive measure taken by law enforcement. But more importantly, I am able to lead because I was invested in, because thankfully my community was there to teach me the lessons that have never been taught to me in school. I was taught that I am able. I was taught to never divorce my identity from my politics. I was taught to be critical. I was taught to read Baldwin and Lord and Fanon and Marimba Ani and Huey P. Newton and to read about queer African queens like Queen Nzinga, things that have never been incorporated into my curriculum until my senior year in high school, and that's a problem. I was taught to be a fighter, the fighter I was born to be. When I was born in 1998, after my mother marched for 9 months to save her brother's life, who was put on death row for a crime he didn't commit, I was taught the relevance of my past. I was taught to be unapologetic. I was taught to deconstruct respectability. I was taught to twerk when I want to love who I want to live the way I need to, and to make each of my decisions political. I am inspired to lead because I know I'm not the only one, and that so many of the students that hear your words in your classrooms are just like me and have identities that are parallel to mine. And that's why we must collectively do better. I lead because I know that students have a voice that is not recognized and is not heard, and that if we give them the platform to do so and concretely invest in them, do not exploit them, do not tokenize them, then we will have a radically different world that we live in.
Hello. I don't know Okay. My name is DeAndre Washington. I attend McKinley Technology High School. There we go. I like that. I'm also an intern for Urban Alliance on an extended summer contract at the World Bank. I wanted to tell a story and then proceed with a poem. It was Halloween of 2005. I was obsessed with Batman. My mom had just bought me a new Batman costume, and I was super excited to show my grandmother. Now, I need people to understand that it was pretty comfortable, but I really would have wore it either way if it wasn't, because Batman was the greatest thing for me as a kid. And the thing was, though, I also had another obsession, which was my grandmother. My grandmother was the coolest person. She gave me snacks and would take me to her job at NIH, where she would probably introduce me to everyone and say, "This is my grandson, DJ." And as my mother taught me, I would say, "Hi, my name is DeAndre Washington. Nice to meet you." My grandmother seemed like she was the person that everyone liked to talk to. I mean, she was just brilliant, and everyone wanted to be a part of her brilliance. So that really influenced me to want to be that same type of person. She is one of the most important people in my life, one of my biggest providers, and mainly that comes with the snacks, I would say. So as you could imagine, I was super excited to show her my new Batman costume. But when I walked into her hospital room and I tried to speak to her, it was difficult to know that the woman who proudly introduced me and who adored me didn't even know my name. This was a pivotal moment for me because at the age of 7, my mom was pregnant with my younger brother, and things were just starting to change. And everyone had to step up and make a mark in this family to help my grandmother. So I felt like I needed to step up too. My grandfather and my mom became primary providers and caretakers for my grandmother, brother, and myself. And I just realized that my brother would not get the same experience that I had with my grandmother because she was losing herself. And I didn't want my brother to see this and realize at a young age that he wouldn't have this feeling that I get every time I see her. So I just decided, how about I just be for my brother what my grandmother was for me? I took him wherever I was, even though sometimes I really didn't want to. My mom really forced me. And I had to pick him up from school. I had to just do everything for him. And it was very hard because he was already dealing with the fact that my mom is a single parent. So a father not being there is just a little bit, it's a little harder to raise a boy into a man without a father. So I had to do that. And I was already dealing with it myself because I didn't have my father either. So I just tried, and it was really hard. It still is hard, but it also taught me about being a leader in my community because I don't need a father to teach me how to be a man. All I need is myself and the people around me. And my brother really is progressing a lot, but sometimes I just feel like I'm not making it as much because I'm still, other than him, I'm still dealing with the fact that my grandmother's health isn't the best. So over time in high school, I had a friend who would always make music and always would write because he was dealing with similar issues. And it turned me into, I wasn't making music because I didn't know what to do, but I decided to write poetry. Poetry really taught me that the pen is really strong when it is attached to the paper, I'm sorry. I'm really nervous. It just really showed me that it was really powerful, and my voice is important just like anyone else's. And I really just wanted to write how I was feeling about situations with my grandmother. I couldn't talk to her, so I decided to write it down in hopes that she would listen one day and she can say that she's proud of me for being who I am today. So I just kept on going until I got a whole book down and just kept going. But then the stories about my grandmother started to change into stories about my community because I started to see things change. The neighborhood I grew up in was beginning to gentrify. The people that I thought would always be in the neighborhood were not in the neighborhood anymore. Maryland became the stepping grounds for African Americans. And it just really bothered me because I started to realize that Washington, D.C. really is a tale of two cities. There is Washington, there's museums, memorials, and even the White House. Then there's D.C., Edgewood Terrace, family, and fun. And what came about from that realization is the fact that I should be the hood preacher, which is a poem that I actually wrote about social justice. And it came about just because I was really fed up with it. It's not the fact that it was things were beginning to gentrify. It was just the fact that change really scared me because my grandmother changed and then community changed and I had to change as well. So I just wanted to end off with saying, my kings and queens, tonight is for everybody to understand me. I work hard for unity within our communities because I come from nothing but family. So I'm cutting off these excuses you try to hand me while steady asking this question: are we free, or is conformity the only road that is my destiny? I mean, I know I'm destined to be something great because I am Martin Luther. I am the descendant of Huey Newton, piecing together troopers, preaching my thoughts on a page with my pen, but I'm locked behind a different set of bars that don't represent a sin. I represent the new breed of leaders that want change, and we all know from past experiences that it won't come without feeling pain. So forget these chains because that isn't who I am. Forget this suit because that doesn't justify whether or not I'm a man. The real justification should come from what I stand for, and that shouldn't show you what's in store for me. Because I'm not sitting in the jail gripping tight on a piece, even if the only thing I stand for is peace. I just want you all to listen to me speak as I spit my decree. I just want you all to listen to me speak as I spit my decree. Because I know our revolution and unity will be televised. Everything I visualize will become a reality. I just want us all to be free, and all I ask is for my soldiers of every creed and color to walk with me. Because Martin had a dream, and that dream is unity between you and me, and I won't stop till that happens, just wait and see. We're all one entity, I love you all, but living in America, if your skin isn't the best, they won't care if you fall. I mean, let's keep it real, regardless of how anybody feels, that's the truth. I just hope I don't get shot down for trying to improve the minds of the youth. Because it's been disgusting what our topics of discussions have been. But I stand before you all to say, you don't need to wallow in these distractions just to see a better day. I know it's difficult to have to see these images replay, but this is our story, and we are able to rewrite each page. Now, from saying all of that, I just really want to tell all of you that I'm scared of what is to come for my future, and I'm scared for what is to come of my community's future. But if you could all just do me the favor of embracing change, embracing individuality, and please, for the love of God, embrace me. Thank you.
Hello. So I'm going to let you know now, I'm not as artistic as these guys. Not at all. So I just want to tell you my story, and I hope that it can hopefully give you guys a gist of what being a student activist is, and I hope it can make you guys feel something. My name is Atala Shabazz. I am a graduate of Anacostia Senior High School in Southeast DC. If any of you guys know what Anacostia is, you understand that going there, I attended Anacostia from 2008 to 2012, and that was a really rough period of time for Anacostia Senior High School. But I am currently a senior at Virginia Commonwealth University. I am studying African American Studies and Political Science, and as of today, I call myself an activist. My activism started in October of 2014. I went to Ferguson. It was the Ferguson response, and they were calling people out to go to Ferguson. I had, between me and one of my closest friends, we had about $50 in our pocket. We drove to Michigan. We drove to Ferguson, $50 in our pockets. But we had to take that call. This was back around the time, my mind has changed about it today, but this was back at a time where I felt like I needed to do more than just be a social media activist. I wanted to do more. I wanted to actually get out and do the work. And why not go to Ferguson to see, that was the epitome of grassroots right there. You know, like people, you had not outsiders coming in fighting for people, not outsiders coming in giving people a voice. You had the people in their neighborhoods, the people in their communities coming out and giving themselves a voice, speaking up for themselves. So why not make that trip? And I made that trip. And when I went, it was an emotional experience for me. Just seeing, it was just an emotional experience for me. But when I came back to Richmond, that's when my fight started. And I haven't stopped fighting since then. Like, that is when my fight started. I have not stopped calling out white supremacy on my campus. I have not started calling out anti-blackness. I have not started calling out black erasure, especially in the classroom. I have not stopped calling out anything. I'm known on campus as that person. Like, I'm known on campus as that person. I call out my administrators. I call out everyone. I call out my professors if need be. I'm that party pooper. Everyone is a party pooper. No one wants anyone to make things political all the time. But we're in a time where we need to. Everyone says nowadays we're very sensitive. I don't think we're very sensitive. People are just not, a-holes as much as everyone wants us to be. Right now, I'm currently an activist with Black VCU Speaks. Before 3 months ago, Black VCU Speaks did not exist. Black VCU Speaks is not an organization, it's a movement. It's a movement to give not only visibility, but also a voice to black students and black faculty on VCU's campus. My school, VCU, is a predominantly white institution, and it loves to pride itself on diversity. But as of recently, we had to point out to our school that what your cosmetic diversity looks like really doesn't include blackness. VCU's diversity does not include blackness, so we had to speak up. This happened around the time that the students at Mizzou were dealing with their stuff. And I sat up at 3 o'clock with my friends. Everything was on Twitter, and that's why I love social media with this time and age. Everything was on Twitter, and we're like, yo, what can we do as black students who go to a PWI, just like these students in Mizzou? Mind you, we go to a PWI in Richmond. That's the capital of what was once the Confederacy. What can we do to stand in solidarity with our black brothers, sisters, and siblings at Mizzou? So we marched on campus and we held a sit-in. But we had to take it a step further, because if our peers and our brothers and sisters and siblings at Mizzou had the courage to stand up and call out their administrators, we had to do the same thing. So that went from planning a march to planning a sit-in in our president's office. So myself and a group of my peers, we sat up all night, created demands. We pulled out statistics. We pointed out how VCU was failing us, and we went into our president's office and sat in his office for 6 hours. We sat in his office, we called him out, we gave us our list of demands, we gave him our personal experiences, we called him out. But it's crazy how before 3 months ago, Black VCU Speaks did not exist. This movement did not exist, and so much change has come on our campus. They just created a class called Learning in Safe Spaces. They've just hired a black head of education. Changes have been made. And it took me and my peers to stand up and speak. But before Ferguson, before VCU, I was a student at Anacostia Senior High School. Before I knew how the definition of white supremacy, before I really knew the definition of racism, before I knew the definition of what really erasure was, all I knew and all I was able to do was describe the conditions that I was living in. All I was able to do was see that something wasn't right with what I was dealing with. And I knew it wasn't me, and I knew it wasn't my peers. And that's all I could do. And this was before VCU, and this is honestly where my activism really started, with my experiences as a black queer woman growing up in the hood of Anacostia, Southeast DC, Southwest DC. My experiences. So I would like to go on and introduce you guys to this video that was created by, at this time, we're talking about 2 5th-grade students. Not students who might not necessarily be able to describe white supremacy or police brutality or any of that, but they can definitely describe their experiences and what they see and what they know that their brothers and sisters and siblings, their black brothers and sisters and siblings are experiencing. So I would like for you guys to check this video out.
Years old when I bought a condom. Education Middle School.
My name is Jake Bray. I go to A.L. Hayes Middle School and I'm 11 years old. The documentary was to see did the police change in the back of the days until these days. What's the difference?
It's about blacks and whites, why they getting killed and how they getting killed.
We were leaders to the third and fourth graders. They looked up to us.
They didn't know how to hold the camera. They didn't know what questions to use. I'm strong and I'm powerful.
I always say the truth. We hope you enjoy our documentary.
Our community standing strong.
I was hoping that police could come in our school and help us be safe. Japan said, I don't trust the police.
Yeah, Mr. President, Black Lives Matter. Or is it just chit chatter? Trying to make it to the top. Yeah, but someone kick them out.
I learned that there was like a bunch of black people, black young boys that got killed by the police.
I saw black police kill black kids and adults. So I think that it's just not fair.
We decided to do research and find out for ourselves.
What is going on lately in the news with the police?
There are some police officers who are not doing the job that they're supposed to do.
Racism is showing its face all over again.
How do you feel about the police?
I do believe that they do have good police officers and they do have bad police officers.
They might not even necessarily be racist. They just, when they get that power, they feel like, you gotta do what I say or it's gonna be a problem.
What do you think will end racism?
I think education is the key.
My best advice for you guys is to stay in school.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ifateo Katwala, and I am a junior at Baltimore School for the Arts. My speech is always also on my phone. Sorry about that. I am a theater major at Baltimore School for the Arts. Today, I stand before you as one of the many young people whose voices are too often ignored. A good friend told me once that most people in Baltimore are born under the impression that they will never make it to be somebody. I have learned over the years just how wrong that statement is. Youth have always been at the forefront of social movements. They have a fresh view of the world and have the ability to make everything better. For 3 years, I have been involved with a Baltimore-based nonprofit called the Baltimore Intersection. The Intersection was co-founded by Zeke Cohen, a TFA 2008 core member. In this program, I have spoken at rallies, met with elected officials, organized my own events, advocated and helped pass the Maryland DREAM Act on the 2012 ballot. I've traveled to Philly and DC many times to speak to amazing people just like all of you. The Intersection has given me the skills to succeed, to have a fair chance at winning. Every student should have that. In fact, I was one of the leaders in our Breaking the Silence on Gun Violence listening campaign back in 2014, that later transformed into young people just like me, hitting the streets to create more youth jobs based off of the data we received in our listening campaign. I met with so many new people and learned so much in just 3 weeks. I want all students to experience leadership like I did. It empowers you to go get those leadership positions yourself instead of waiting for them to be given to you if they ever do. It felt good to be a leader. I work to bring attention to the gap between what adults expect and what we have the skills to achieve. The problem in this society is not only that it does not have faith in us, youth, but we are not giving the opportunities to succeed. Adults expect students to be able to balance their class and homework, get a job, be involved in the community, and have many extracurricular activities, and be able to stand out. How are we supposed to do all of this when most of us won't graduate knowing about taxes, stocks, ways to implement our degrees, how to write a resume, and so much more? Much of this disparity, you have to keep in consideration, happens in neighborhoods of color. I work to confront that fact as well, since no one else seems to. I want students to have a chance to see regardless of their skin color, but also being able to address the options and opportunities that are limited based on skin color. When we sit in conversations and panels and rallies like these, we sit and talk about what would I improve about our education system. I answer the question that are asked, but in the back of my head, I say this is completely useless. No disrespect, of course, but it's useless to me to sit and talk about what we can do to plug the holes and not recognize race as a hole that needs to be plugged, talked about. Students will sit on this stage and propose every elective, work study, and program they can think of to level the playing field, to have more freedom, which is fine, but the minute they hear institutionalized racism, they freeze and don't want to talk about the solutions anymore. So when I say that expectations aren't in line with the skills given, I mean that society expects blacks to rise out of our hood and make it, but won't give us the hope, drive, and opportunity to do so. If you want your students to succeed, there has to be acknowledgement and communication. As teachers, I'm done with my speech, I'm gonna just add something real quick. As teachers, I was talking to Ms. Jane about this a little earlier, and I feel like as a student, you see your students just like a parent would, if not a little bit more, depending on that parent's work schedule. And I feel like that is one of the biggest issues with our education system, that they don't take that opportunity to be a second parent, to be a driving force to the student's future, and they take that responsibility very lightly, and they don't see the huge impact that you have on a student. In 7th grade, I had a teacher that thought for me. It was in the election between Obama and Mitt Romney, and it was my history class. And we had a mock election and different mock trials and whatever else, and every time the same candidate won, and it was the candidate that my teacher was voting for. I never had the chance to think for myself and to develop those skills to be the person that I am today. I had to learn it on my own. So I feel like as a teacher, that is a responsibility that you shouldn't take as lightly, and just be open to your students' stories and not assume. But thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you.
How's everyone doing? All right, I want to thank Teach for America for hosting us today. I want to thank all of you for signing up for this event. And could we give a round of applause to these great speakers who have done a wonderful job so far. So I'm Walter DeLeon. I am a commissioner here in the District of Columbia, sophomore at the Catholic University, and the youngest Latino elected official in DC history. So, thank you. I am the son of 2 immigrants, and I'm going to read my speech. So I'm the son of 2 immigrants from Guatemala. My mom forewent an opportunity to go to one of the finest universities in Latin America for a once-in-a-lifetime chance to come here to the United States, where she worked as an au pair. She learned English. My dad did not come here on his own volition, and they both worked hard. They entered the middle class, and they forged their own slice of the American dream over the years. And their hard work in improving my community and my neighborhood and my district is really the reason that I really, that I truly believe that anyone, anywhere can be a catalyst for positive change. Over the years, I've met many people who've reaffirmed that belief to me. One of them is Vanessa Ford, my 6th grade science teacher. She is a TFA alum from the 2002 Corps. So could we give her a round of applause, because she's phenomenal. And our family has stayed close over the years, and she is actually, my junior year, she connected me with Tommy Wells, who is a council member, and I got my first internship there. And when my senior year started, I worked for his mayoral campaign, and it really did change my life, because I realized that I wanted to stay here. I wanted to be someone who changed my community for the better. And she's the reason I stayed here for school, and don't make me cry. So, so in short, she kickstarted my political career, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm very thankful for all the teachers here who really, I mean, you guys do change students' lives for the better. And whether you notice that or not, that's an important part of being a teacher and being an educator, whether you realize it or not. So with her help and with 92% of the vote, I became a commissioner. I've been fortunate enough to make changes in my community. Since being elected, I've tackled the issues of public safety, of environmental justice, and pushed for broad changes in expanding voting rights to people aged 16 and up, and for all resident legal immigrants in our municipal elections. I pushed for more comprehensive mass transit options, more responsible development, and for policies that reflect the truth that Black lives matter and that we can do better as a city, and acknowledging that, and thank you. Thank you. Yet the issues that we face as a city, as a nation, and in your communities, they can't be solved by any one person alone. And it takes people who understand that they can be the catalyst for positive change, whether that's in inspiring other people to do that, or whether it's standing up and running for office, or hitting the streets. It's very important. And there's no greater acknowledgement, in the words of Cicero, that we are not born in ourselves alone. Thank you.
I'm gonna stand at the podium because I got a bunch of papers. That's cool. Everybody good with that? All right, cool. There we go. Good morning. Ooh. My name is Elijah Miles. I'm 20 years old. I go to Morgan State University. Yeah, we in here. We in here. And I'm from Baltimore City. And for as long as I could remember, I always believed I would impact the world. I don't know when somebody first told me it, but I always been told in my neighborhood, in school, everywhere that, boy, you going places. And I don't know what they saw. My brother Will, ever since I was little, he would always tell me, Lodge, that's what they call me, Lodge. He'd be like, you the one like Neo. Neo from The Matrix. He'd be like, Lodge, Lodge, you the one like Neo. And I don't know what he saw, but they saw something inside me and had complete faith in me. That's important. But as a kid, I would complain. I would fuss about the problems in my family. I would complain about the problems in my community, how life is just not fair. But I had a teacher. I had a teacher named Mr. Scott. And he let me know that, Elijah, you could kill this thing. Elijah, you could change this whole thing, Elijah. He didn't say, Elijah, somebody will come and change your situation for you. He didn't say, Elijah, I'm gonna come and fix your whole life. No. You see what he did, teachers? He put the power in my hands. You see what he did? He said, basically, Elijah, stop waiting for a savior. Stop waiting for someone to fix your community. Stop waiting for someone to fix your life because it ain't fair and life just ain't easy. But that's just the way it is. Stop complaining because your community is this and your community is that. That's messed up, but you can change it. You know the problem with some teachers? No offense, I love y'all. I do, I really do. The problem with some teachers is that some teachers want to save the kids. They want the power. They want the glory. They want to look in the mirror and say, yo, you're a good guy, yo. Like, you shout to them from their reality. You save them from the streets. You got them away from their situation. But that's not our job. God has allowed us to exist in these problems, to exist in these struggles, so that out of our struggle can bring out of us what he's locked in us. You shouldn't shout to them. You shouldn't feel bad for them. You shouldn't even play mom. No, you get behind them and you say, you can overcome this. You can beat this. I got your back, but you let them fight. The glory is theirs to have, and teachers have a powerful role in this, in the development of these leaders. You have to show them the power inside themselves. You have to show them the potential inside themselves, because they're living in a society in a world that's constantly lying to them, telling them they're worth nothing. Yeah, your dad left because you're worth nothing. Yeah, your mom wasn't there because you ain't worth nothing. These insecurities, these lies are deeply ingrained in their psyche. You have to see the strong person. You have to see the worthy person, the able person, the leader, the changer, the fire starter. You got to see it. And in time, they will see it in themselves. But you have to empower. Please put the power in their hands. That's why it's important. You put the power in their hands so that on the other side of the storm, on the other side of the fight, they can say, I did that. Not my teacher did it for me, I did that. Strength, confidence, perseverance, humility, passion will all be built in these storms. Don't deprive them of that. Because this storm is a blessing in disguise. And the storm or the fight is theirs to fight. Let them fight it. And we want leaders of tomorrow. I know we do. We want leaders of tomorrow. But you have to teach them to stand on their own 2 feet. Mr. Scott, he would always tell me, he was a slick man. He would always say, he'd be like, Elijah, I can't hold your hand through life. Elijah, I can't hold your hand through life. And I'd be like, Scott, what are you talking about? Can't hold my hand through life. What do you mean? But I thank him today. I thank him today. Thank you, Mr. Scott, because I didn't get what he meant then, but now I know what he means. Because that's life. Whether we like it or not, life is live or die, sink or swim. And that struggle, it builds character. We need it. You know what I've been through in 2015 alone? Stress was getting to me. I ended up in a hospital. I had to take off a semester from school. I felt like a failure. 2015, grandma died. Only grandparent I ever knew. Some of y'all know that feeling. 2015, I got my heart broke. Some of y'all know that feeling too. But I'm glad I went through these things. I'm not glad they happened, but I'm glad I went through them. I'm glad people pushed me and said, boy, you can't run away from life, but you can get through this. All you gotta do is fight, because that's life. And if you love these kids, you know that the problems of their childhood are just the beginning of the long fight called life. This is just the beginning of struggle, just the beginning of it's just round one with struggle. And it's a beautiful struggle. It's a blessing to struggle, because out of deep despair, out of that pain from the heartbreak, that heartbreak with the love of your life, out of extreme isolation, out of being down and out with no one to turn to but God himself, do you discover the God inside you, the thing inside you that will not quit, the thing inside you that will not give up, the thing inside you that will show you just how strong you are when you feel weak. Only through that pain do you find true strength. Only through that pain do you reach your true potential. I'm not talking about something I heard. I'm not talking about something I read. I'm talking about myself. Being heartbroken, being alone, feeling like a failure. Only through that I'm at a person before you today, working harder than I ever worked before, more wise than I ever was before, more committed to my mission than I ever been in my life. I love the struggle. Yes, I do. And I thank God for the struggle. My struggle took me from a regular kid in the hood that wanted to do regular things and be a regular guy, and made me, created me into a man that wants to impact the world and will do it. Don't get me wrong, and I respect y'all work, and y'all play a key role, you know, and I'm completely grateful for the teachers that changed my life. And you help these kids, you support these kids, you love them, but the important part is empowering them. And do me a favor, just don't deprive them of the stimuli. Don't deprive them of the catalyst that will make them into the powerful human being that God wants them to be. Malcolm X wasn't created from comfortable conditions. Harriet Tubman, even Jesus wasn't created from comfortable conditions. These leaders are made by struggle. These leaders are created by struggle or shaped by struggle, because to lead a people that are constantly struggling, dying every day, you gotta beat a struggle. And it's a beautiful struggle. It's a blessing to struggle. Thank you.
morning. Pretty excited to be here this morning, and just hearing the students speak, I mean, man, it gives me so much hope for what the future holds for our communities and for our cities. My name is Omari Todd, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Regional Engagement here at Teach for America, and I'm a proud 2000 Baltimore alumni. So, in our city of Baltimore, so much has happened, over the last 12 months, and we've been in a really tough place. But to hear the voices of the students today give me hope that, our city is going to be just fine. So thank you. I'm excited to kick off our panel today to begin asking the questions of our great panelists and really begin to hear their voices even louder. And I'll just kick us off by starting with Ifotea and DeAndre. This room is full of educators. What would you suggest they do to inspire student leadership?
I would say don't take the student as just a number, because I'm going to be honest, I don't have the best GPA, but I really do think that doesn't determine how smart you are or how much of a leader you can be in the world. You can still make change even if you don't come from the best background as well. I would just say give them a chance, because that's all they really want in reality.
I would say that many of the students that you will teach have a lot more interest in what the curriculum allows. And because of that, they feel stuck in a standardized curriculum, and one way to empower them is to ask them what their interests are and try to work that into your curriculum the best way possible, and actually get them to understand that there's more than graphing a polynomial function in their life, and trying to get to what they actually want to do, and giving them the opportunities and the connections that they need to, I guess, follow the path that they want to. So, getting them out of this box that our system has put them in.
Great. And we also have Christina here, who's Jaquel's mother. And we're happy to have you too. We saw the documentary. When you think about your son, what are you most proud of in terms of his activism?
Well, I'm most proud of his courage, and to be able to speak with his peers and other adults about a situation that, adults don't even like to speak about. And there go my baby right there.
Great. And we have Michaela and Walter. As student activists, what are your proudest accomplishments? And don't be modest here.
No, go for it. Okay. That's a hard question to answer when you're only 19. But I think it's really some of the organizing work that I've done recently, which is against legislation that would allow for campus police officers to patrol off campus. And I've gone to every university in the district organizing young people against this legislation. And I think to see that work that I've been doing since high school at this point, to see all these young people coming together against one thing that's, it's a horrible idea, is really something that I'm proud of, and it's amazing.
So I think that question is really interesting, and just like the question that we were answering earlier, I think it's really loaded. And I had to think a lot about that question, right? Because it can almost be problematic, right, in the most obvious answer, right? Because to think of my accomplishments as a student activist, I think of very concrete things, right? Here come the shameless plugs. So winning the Princeton Prize of Race Relations, right? That's very concrete, right? That's accomplishments. It's literally an award, right? Or getting demands met, right? Getting a vice president of the Fraternal Order of Police demoted to a desk job, right? That. Those are accomplishments, right? But it's so problematic to conflate my organizing and activism to those concrete things, because that's where complacency is derived from, right? Because when we feel like we've accomplished things, we feel like that's enough to stop, right? And that's been something that I've seen has been a reoccurring pattern in organizing in Baltimore. We use symbols of our movements and symbols of our organizing, and we only want concrete change, but we're not willing to make our revolution a perpetual cycle, right? And I don't think that there's ever like an end goal, right? And to that point, I think when I'm not thinking about my concrete accomplishments, I'm thinking about like the more abstract things. And I think as student organizers from City Block in Baltimore, our biggest accomplishment thus far, even beyond the demands, has been our ability to make allies, right? Our ability to make allies. So like we're just now making a coalition with our student organization SOMOS at Baltimore City College High School against ICE raids in Baltimore, right? And even adult allies, like having teachers recognize student agency has been the biggest and most impactful thing for us, right? Like last year when we led a student walkout, the teacher's response was very confrontational, right? We weren't recognized as a legitimate organization. We were demonized and criminalized for wanting to stand up against the militarization of school police, but now teachers are approaching us, right? And that acknowledgement and that recognition that we have a voice and that our power it's significant, right? And that our influence is wide and expanding daily with each of our actions. I think that has been like the largest point of pride for me as a student organizer.
That's great. And Cece and Elijah, I mean, you all talk about, this is an audience full of adults. And sometimes, you all know we think we know it all. And the question I would have for you is, like, what advice would you give to the audience in terms of the potential of our students and what we should keep in mind as we're engaging with our students?
What I would say is that you have to keep in mind that sometimes you see something in a student that the student doesn't see in themselves. And you have to really make them aware of that, because I don't think students, especially growing up in impoverished neighborhoods, don't understand their power and their ability. And so sometimes if you're the only one that see it, you have to really constantly put the mirror to them that you are powerful, that you are great, that you can change everything. You know what I mean? And I heard this Steve Jobs quote that was like, he said, "I find comfort in the fact that everything around me that I call life is created by people no smarter than me." And so you have to make them aware of their extreme and phenomenal power, because a lot of kids growing up deal with like insecurities and self-hate and hate themselves and that type of thing. And so you have to get them past that mindset, and you have to really love them up into themselves so they can love themselves. And when they love themselves and stop letting fears and insecurities and lies trap them, the sky's the limit. You know what I mean? And so that's what I think.
I had to write notes because I can't remember. Okay, I think all adults must realize that we really are the future. And like, if you don't really, like, we hold the key, but not without you guys passing the baton and like listening to our voices. We are full of like future leaders, doctors, and lawyers. And if you don't give us the chance and even just show us that we can do it, just like Elijah said, you have to show us, but at the same time, don't feel sorry for us and don't feel like you have to pull us. Just push us and let us know that we hold the potential. And also, I just feel like you can show us what not to do and how to handle certain situations in order to avoid, since you're older, we can avoid like just dealing with things that we don't have to, because you'll show us the way and you'll give us guidance rather than us having to deal with it on our own. So that's it.
And I have a question, I think, for everybody on the panel. And whether, if we fast forward and, look into the future, where do you all see yourselves in the future, or where do you see Jaquel in the future? And like, what could this room, this audience do to ensure that you're able to get there? Yeah.
Okay, well, I see Jaquel's future. I see him being a leader. I've seen a lot in him within this past 2 years. He's an amazing kid, and he speaks so highly about his, about things that I just wouldn't ever expect for him to talk about. gosh, I always get so emotional when it comes to my baby. But I just know he's going to be okay. I know that our faith alone is what's going to push him through, just like that young man said. And I think that's the way I know that everything is going to be good for him. Oh, my baby. I'm sorry.
So where do I see myself in the future? I want to be the president, honestly. So if anyone has any connections, just let me know. No, but seriously, 2045, I'm running for president. In the future, I want to get a master's in architecture and focus on urban planning. Just because I feel like many of the problems we see today is based off of where people live and the policies of residential segregation in many inner cities like Baltimore and Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. And because of that, I want to use my master's degree to change that, but I also definitely want to be heavily involved in advocacy for young black youth or for youth in general and just promoting student leadership. But I still want to be president too, at some point.
Where do I see myself in the future? First, I'm going to start off by saying I don't know where I want to go to college at. The options are really still endless. But I do know that I would like to attend for journalism, continue writing, probably about music. I'm really interested in music, and just speaking my mind about how I feel about what's around me, and just keep working on the poetry. And touring around the world is a really big thing I want to do, just because I see my poetry coaches doing it, and it's really inspiring. So, you got one.
So in the future, like my life goal as far as like work goes is to own an independent black media company, right? And journalism is definitely one of my interests now, right? And then in the short term, it's to get so a few of my friends who are independent journalists and artists and activists in Baltimore got together and made a coalition of these individuals in a community called AssataSyllabus.org, right? And that's an independent like journalist organization that's currently even like collecting scholarship from the people of the communities that are being most impacted by these issues that we see daily. I just really see the value in controlling our own narrative, right? And in April, we saw what happens when communities don't control their own narratives, right? And MSNBC is able to project their values onto our communities, right? So that's always been a goal of mine to have that. And the way that teachers, I think, can help to invest in that is to do so in the most concrete way ever, right? And so I think a lot of times teachers are like, well, I support you, right? And a lot of my teachers say that all the time. They're like, I support what you're doing and you better go, and oh, I'm so proud of you, right? But that's not concrete, and that does a lot for my like ego, right? But that's not tangible, right? That's not an investment. Right? And so that can be like an investment in the most literal sense when we think of like money investments, right? So like D. Watkins, who's a writer in Baltimore, like he like throws money at students, right? Like presents us with all of these opportunities to make money because that's what we need to get access to these opportunities and access to our dreams. But then also it's just like the small stuff, right? And I don't ever want, because I always talk to teachers about like what they can do to be better allies to their students. I don't ever want it to be like an overwhelming thing where it's like you think you have to be the most revolutionary person on this earth to birth and grow and like produce revolutionary students, right? And so it's like even the small day-to-day things, right? So like my English teacher is very lenient with me and is very helpful with like us being student organizers and knowing that we're organizing protests and doing interviews and traveling all the time to do speaking engagements. And so he's like, just the small stuff to like, oh, Michaela, instead of turning this in next Friday, you know, take another week, right? Like just the small basic stuff that shows that you understand the context in which your students are living in, like that makes so much of a difference, and that gives your students access and the time to think about what they actually want to do. So that's so valuable to me. And I think that we should never overlook the small things, because if those small things are concrete things, they are valuable things.
So where do I see myself in the future? I think it's really continuing the path of public service. I'm a candidate for the school board, for the at-large seat on the school board, and I definitely want to continue trying to improve and make DC a better place to live, work, and raise a family. And I definitely want to tackle some of the larger issues that we see, such as the 22% unemployment rate among people who don't have college degrees, especially when you see that that's concentrated in areas east of the river particularly. And I think you absolutely nailed it when you said that you have to, the best thing that a teacher can probably do is understand the context in which a student is living in. I have talked to many families who live in homeless shelters, and they take 3 buses to drop their kids off to school and go to work and then do it all again. And I think that one of the best things that a teacher can do is be understanding of that, and be understanding that not everyone is so fortunate, like I think everyone here on the stage might be. And I think absolutely that's one of the best things that that a teacher can do. So, yeah.
Where I see myself in 10 years, I'm really concerned about problems that I see in my own little small community, and just drug dealers being on the corner, the constant killing of black on black crime and that type of thing. And so I always was like, how do this stop? Incarceration too. I was like, how do I get this to stop? And I was like, well, a lot of our problems is linked to poverty. And so I was like, if I just own a couple corner stores, then maybe I can, hire people with tattoos, hire people that got records, hire people that, sell drugs right now, but don't really want to do that, but they're doing that because they have to survive. And so how I see myself in 10 years, I really want to own in many stores as I can, so I can hire and teach people how to get it the right way, and that type of thing. And also, I like speaking. I'm working on it. I just joined Toastmasters at my school. So I'm working on it because I think words got power. I think words are uplifting and motivating. They can change a person's behavior if you place them right. And so really, I just quit my job. I quit my job at Walgreens. So I was like, yo, I got dreams, yo. Yeah, so I read this, that motivational stuff gets to your head. So it was like, I was watching this motivational video. He's like, don't have a plan B because that takes away from your plan A. And I was like, yo, I'm done. It's over. So how anybody can help me is conferences like these, any students, teachers for free, or if it's paid, that'd be cool too. I think I got his perspective, you know what I mean? And I think it's a lot of negative influences out here that's influencing people the wrong way. And so I really think it's a war over the minds, like war over the influence. And so I'm just trying to create my platform so that I can influence people in a positive way. I want to represent that it's possible that you can go to college or you cannot go to college and you can still be successful, that you can wear a suit or you cannot wear a suit, and you can still be successful. You can make something of yourself and make something of your community. So, yeah, connect with me. Get me in your classroom. I want to talk to some kids, talk to some teachers. I would like that. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Where I see myself in the future. First, I want to declare a major because I literally want to do everything, from law to fashion to nursing. It's crazy. And overall, I really want to own my own. Want to start my own clothing line, and then I want to start a hair, nail, and makeup salon, and own my own business, and start my own music label. But what I really want to do is I want to be the first woman spoken word poet to get a Grammy. That would be amazing. Yeah. And okay, so how the people in this room can help me with that. So I have a book right here, right? And it's only $10. And what you can do is you can buy the book and then you take pictures and you put it on Twitter, right? And you can share it in your classrooms. And okay, no lie, this book right here, it'll save some kids' lives. I'm trying to tell y'all. So yeah, y'all could just see me after and we could connect. But seriously, I really want to be a good mother. I see myself overall in the future, I see myself being happy. I see myself being comfortable with myself and just loving everyone in my community. I really want to help teenagers and teenage mothers, and I just want to help them like realize that they can't make it, and you don't have to stay in the position that you're in. Like, you don't have to listen to what other people are going to say to you. Like, you really can make it regardless of your situation. And I just want to save lives. I just want to help people. So, yeah, thank you.
And as we begin to close out, I'm curious that have you all have any final words for the audience that you would just want to ensure that we leave with as we kick off the day for the 25th anniversary summit of Teach for America.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Really.
Thank you. One big thing is, what I really want to say to the teachers is the issue of bullying. I really think that's an important issue. And I used to get bullied in middle school, but I really just feel like we should take it seriously and just really just do what you can. I guess either if you have to like separate the kids in the classroom, but just like try to take it into your hands so that it doesn't get in the way of their education, because I really think that's very important. Just show children love and just let them know that who they are matters and that they really can be all that they want to be. And yeah, I'm Cece Felton. Remember me. I'm gonna be a Grammy. So.
Say something. Sorry. So one point that I think is really important is, so many times I've had, some of my friends go into a classroom and, they're dealing with things at home and they bring that into the classroom and the teacher assumes that, it's targeted towards them, so they get suspended or they get detention or whatever else, and they are starting to be labeled as this defiant young man or defiant young woman regardless of color. And just taking into consideration, what they might be going on at home, what might be going on at home, and, them not having an outlet to kind of like deal with the emotions that they have, because, they're young, and, speaking from a young person, we don't have control of our emotions. It's just crazy. And because of that, most students don't intentionally want to come to school and like get suspended. Let's hope not. And because of that, we just really, I rely on my teachers to try to help me out. I know it's not in your job description to become a therapist, but because you see the students so much, just try to kind of be a little lenient and just say, okay, I see, you're a little off today, Mr. Johnson, what's wrong? Do you need to talk to someone? Just having that in mind. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here.
Great. I think we have time for one more. You'll close this out.
Thanks. So I think I want my last words to be, I think what can really make an impact in the classrooms that you all are teaching in, right? And I think the first step is understanding each of our identities and the implications of those identities on the children that we come in contact with, right? And so there's an inherent violence that's attached to some of our identities that we always have to be aware of, right? And so even if we approach students with good intentions, we have to know how our actions are truly manifesting themselves and how they may actually be interpreted by the students that we're talking to, right? And I think that's a necessary prerequisite to any learning environment. So just simple things that can be seen as microaggressions, right? Like correcting a child, and this is so weird and ironic when you're in a pedagogical space, but correcting a black child's grammar, right? That can be violent, right? Because that's a part of their culture and their community, and they're a part of their ability to code switch and create transient zones of freedom and safe spaces for themselves, right? And so just think of everything that you do and the context in which you do it, and think of the implications given off of that, right? And so I think that's the most important thing that you could ever do. And just and with attached to identity, don't ever think that you need to understand your students' identities to embrace them, right? I think a lot of times, especially normatively identified teachers feel like they need to understand their black student struggles, right, to help them. Oh my gosh, Michaela, I don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't understand what it feels like to wake up every morning and get on Facebook and see one of your brothers or sisters of your community being killed, so I don't know how to help you, right? You don't need to understand in order to embrace, right? You don't need to understand in order to invest. You don't need to understand in order to provide opportunities and platforms for your students to find out what they should be understanding themselves, right? So I would just encourage you all to do that and create those spaces for your students to find themselves and activate their own political agency.
And as we close out the Igniting the Fire session, as we kick off the morning for the 25th Anniversary Summit, I mean, this has been truly a pleasure. And I just want to thank you all again for your leadership and for your voice. And we're going to close out, and once again, the panelists will be able to just engage and answer any questions and just talk as we transition. But thank you all, and have a great summit.